Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. In this video, I will show you how to automatically generate new access token from the refresh token in reactjs. And our backend is in Node.js. And now let's just take a look at the flow, how we're going to implement it. So right here, you can see we have the sign up. And this one right here, this is the email that we're going to sign up with, and this is the login. So now let's just quickly click on the send button, and as you can see, this user has been created as it, returning the 200 OK with the access token as well as the refresh token. And in the login right here, so now let's just log in with this information and click on the send button, and as you can see, we have the access token and refresh token. The access token right here, I set it to just 10 seconds, then it will expire. For the refresh token, I set this to 1 minute. And now let's just try to generate the new access token, and we can also quickly copy the access token right here, put it in the private post, in the header of token, and paste it here. So as I only set it to 10 seconds, this has already expired. And you can now see it says invalid or expired access token. To generate a new one, now let's just go to the login again and try to grab the refresh token. Hopefully that it has not been expired. So let's just try to go to the generate access token using the refresh token. So previously I set up using the header, right, of token, and we need to provide here. But in this tutorial, I will set it in the body instead. So just call this as refresh token and paste it here. Let's just click on the send button. Well, it's already past 1 minute. Now let's just quickly try to sign in again. So I'm going to grab the refresh token, go back to the generate access token. So in this body, let's just paste it here and click on the send button. Now you can see that we have the new access token. So let's just try to grab this, and to view the private post, we will need to paste the token here, the access token, and right here it's already expired again. Quickly try to generate a new one, has to be quick, right? So paste it here, and now you can see we can view the post 3. And after 10 seconds, then it's gone again. And I can keep generating this for 1 minute, right? Because the access, the refresh token, I set it to 1 minute, while access token only valid for 10 seconds. And this is how we're going to implement it in the React. And the reason why I put it in the body here, I will also explain you as well why we try to change it from the header to the body right here, and it only apply to this endpoint, generate the new access token using the refresh token. While viewing the private post, it's still the same right here, right? So now let's get started. Okay guys, so now let's start with this one right here. So I open the API folder. This is our backend in Node.js. So I have updated right here as well as seen. So previously we were using the XOF token, and this is the endpoint, right? And now we just use the body instead. So request.body.refresh token, and this is the refresh token that we got from the body. And down here they're all the same as the previous code. So next one here is the authenticate the token. So I update this one to invalid or expired access tokens, just the text. And down here, this is the package.json. So this one here inside the client. So starting from here, these are the code that written in reactjs, right? Previously, I have set up the proxy down here as well, but now we implement the refresh token. So we are using a different approach, and you will see what the code is. And we also had this one right here, right? The off dash header. So This is the old code. This one you can actually delete this file. It's no longer needed. And I create a new file called api.js. So now let's start with this file right here. We have the token.service, and right here we are using the Azure.create. What are we doing right here? Basically, we want to use this intersector. But now let's see what is inside this Azure.create. We need to define the base URL. So instead of defining the proxy in the package.json down here, right now we define it directly into this file. Okay, so this is our backend. The localhost 5000, and the header we just need to provide the application/JSON, and we can now start using this variable called instance. And now we can start using the interceptors .request.use. So what does this function do? Basically, whenever that we before making the request, we have to go through this code right here, right? It will do the following. So now let's start with this one right here. Say if you want to make a request to the backend. So right now we are in the front end, right? The front end code in React.js. We want to make a request to the backend. Then it first has to go through this code. So what it's gonna do? Basically, we want to get the local access token. So we store our access token in the browser in the local storage, and we want to get that information. And then we also show you what is inside this code as well. But now we have the access token. We store this here, and the access token here we want to append it or put it in the XOF token, right? So instead of defining like the one that we had in the previous video I show you, now we define it this way, and we return the config. If there's an error, then we want to do this, right? Just promise.reject. So next here is the response data. So whenever that we get the data from the backend, then it will do the following. So let's just take a look here. We define so whatever the response is, we want to return that. But if there's an error, right? If there's an error, then we want to get the error.config, set it to original config. Down here, if there's an error, then we want to continue checking. So if the access token is expired, right? So we're returning the 403. And right here, basically, we want to handle the infinite loop. Because right here, we don't need to click on any button to get the request, to get the response, or to send the request, right? So it will automatically does the sending necessary request on the response. It will just do it by itself, right? So we need to check that. We don't want to have it say if there's an error from the backend, then it will keep calling again and again, right? So we want to handle the infinite loop, and this is how we defined it. So original config dot retry, and we set this to true. Okay, so only call once. Down here we have the so whenever that the access token expire, we want to call the this right here, the endpoint. So we want to generate a new access token, right here. So inside the code, we get the refresh token from local storage, and we make a call using the post call. And when we get the response, then basically we want to get into the access token from that response, because it can contain the access token and the refresh token. So we only want the access token. So it's right here. And once we have that, we want to update the existing access token with the new token that we got from the backend, right? So when we get the new one here, we want to set it in the local storage. And right here, it's just returning that. And if there's an error, then it will does this. So now let me just try to show you what is inside the each code of this. So it's this one right here, the token dot service. So here we have the get local refresh token, right? So we want to use this local storage dot get item. The name is called the user, and the symbol here, the question mark here, it's just setting this to optional, right? So if there's the refresh token, then we want to return that, and this is just get the access token. The same thing, instead of refresh, we just set this to access token. Down here, this is another function, which is the update new access token. So first we get the information. It can be access token and refresh token. So we want to get the user dot access token. Okay, and next we want to set the information, which is the new one. We want to set that information to the existing one. So we will replace the existing one with this new access token. And right here, this is just getting the user. It can be both refresh token and the access token, and this is setting the user, right? Very simple. And right here, this is whenever that we click on the logout button, then it will remove the information including access token and refresh token. Down here, we just want to export it. So let's see what's next. And right here, this is the auth.service. So we import the API I showed you previously, and this one right here, right? This is the token.service. So it's the same as the one that I showed you in the previous video. We have the sign up, login. So instead of this, right now we use the token.service.setUser. It's actually equivalent to the one above here. So we just want to using the refactor one, the code that we refactor, and log out, right? So dot remove user, get the current user. So this is the code, and next here is the post dot service. So previously you can see we use the axios and auth header, right? This one here as well, defining the endpoint. And now we don't need to use that anymore. So this is the code that I showed you previously. We get all private posts, and we use axios.get with the endpoint that we define, and we need to specify the middleware right here. So this is the auth header that include the XAuth token in the header. Now we don't need to do that anymore. So what we do is we, instead of using the axios, we can just directly use api.get, and this is the /post/private. Okay, so whenever that we make request, then it will use the axios interceptors. So next is the private. Okay, so this is the private page. Now you can see that we have I have already commented this one here. So previously we checked for the 403, right? We can comment this one for now, and now we can try out the functionalities of this application. Okay, so the application is up and running. First, I want to try to sign up a new user. So let me just inspect this as well. So here I have the default value, which is james@gmail.com, because we just created this one right here, right? james@gmail.com. I want to create a new one actually. So let's just call this hello@gmail.com with the password, and click on the sign up. Okay, so it navigate me to the home page, and right here I can also click on the logout as well. I just want to sign in using hello@gmail.com. Click on the login, and now we can see that we can view the tab here. So this one right here, this is private, and you can see I can view this page. And after 10 seconds, if I were to go to the home page and click on this one again, then you can see it says that this is 403 because the access token has expired. It only lasts for 10 seconds. And now let me just quickly click on this one right here to show you. And you can see the status 403, click on that, and here you can see that it says invalid or expired access token. And the next one here is that what it does, it generate a new one. So let me just go back and click on the private again, and you now can see we can still view this one right here, because the using the intersector, it try to generate a new access token using the refresh token, right? So here let's just try to look at this one. You can see it's returning the 403, and next step here we can see that it's what it responds, no response at all. And you can see that next one here, it will try to generate a new access token using the existing refresh token. So when I click on the payload, you can now see that this is the refresh token, right? So it get the refresh token, and next one here, it will try to make a request to this endpoint right here, /auth/ token. Then it generate me a new access token. So let's take a look here. It end in 5LC, right? So this is the refresh token. And next one here, let's click on that and see the header. So we are using the XOF token, and now this is the one that is just created. Okay, so it is 5LC, and then we can view the content, which is the post 3 is private, right? So this code right here, this is basically it automatically generate a new access token if the existing one is expired. So it's down here, right? So if there's an error 403, then we will try to make a post request to this endpoint by getting the local refresh token. Then it will generate me a new one, right? So then we update the existing new access token. Okay, and I can also show you that in the console here as well. So when it get the error, the 403, then it will the response it will contain the information, which is the access token, right? And here this is the new access token. Okay, so right here the response, I just want to show you what is inside this. And once we have that, we want to get the access token. So once we have that access token, we want to update the new access token using the function that we define, right? So this one right here, it the same as this one. Okay, and now we set this new access token in our local storage. So let's just take a look in the user. It will be the access token. Okay, so this one right here, 5LC, right? And this is basically how we automatically generate the new access token without the user having to log out and then sign in again, right? So whenever that we make a request to the backend, it will automatically does the magic. Okay, so using the interceptors, and this one right here, this is the interceptor.request. And I also want to mention that why do we have to change this one here, right? The header of token to just using inside the body instead. That's because in the view all of the private posts, we have already defined it right here. So if we start using this again, then it will get messed up. So I can also show you here as well. So inside the code, you can see that we only get the local access token. So instead of refresh token right here, so we want to differentiate that right here. You can see we no longer need to use this, and we can define to generate a new access token using the refresh token, we define the refresh token in the body instead whenever that we make a call to this endpoint. So right here, when I scroll down, you can see that this is the whatever that we define in the body, right? So we want to get the get refresh token, and we define the refresh token right here, which is exactly the same as this one right here. Okay, so that's a reason why we define it in the body. And so right here I haven't really show you how to handle the refresh token whenever that it's expired. I only show you how to generate a new access token, right? So now when I click to go back to the home page, and when I click again to the private page, because the refresh token has already expired, it's only lasts for 1 minute like I mentioned. Now when I click on this one right here, it will keep calling it again and again, right? So you can now see it will say the post and try to keep calling this again and again. So why is that? Well, let me just quickly log out this. Okay, so why is that? That's because when you take a look down here, we haven't really defined what to do whenever that refresh token expire. Basically, we want to log the user out. We want to navigate the user to the login screen, and they can sign in again. But for now, I only check for the access token whenever that it expire. It does this job, and haven't really defined the refresh token. And one more thing is that the refresh token and the access token, for the time being, I set the status whenever that it's expired to 403. So we have to also check for, we can write the condition down here, right? So check for whenever that the refresh token expire, and when the status code is 403, then we want to again log the user out and navigate that user to the login page again, so that they can sign in again. Okay, so that's the step that you can implement. But for now, that will be it. I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial. This is the part 2 of the previous video, which I show you how to implement sign up, log in, and log the user out in the reactjs. And this is the extension of that, which is how to automatically generate the access token using the refresh token without having to log the user out. It will automatically does it in the background. And again, that's all for today. See you guys in the next video.